Hello. Cease this. Hello, welcome to the stream. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. It was EP today. It was a very EP day. But we're here, we're gaming, we're playing Pokemon again. 24 hours later. We started late today because I was EP. but now we're good. Heck, I believe, yeah, it's working now. And that's all working as well. Okay. Just to make sure all my stuff was good, and let me get the game up here in just a second. Boom, there we are. Oh, hold on. YouTube emailed me saying I'm live. I really need to see if I can disable those because I know I'm live on YouTube. YouTube, thank you. Part 8. Here we are. We're doing a time heist. That's what we're doing today. I guess we have to find the promised land or whatever. It's a Final Fantasy VII. We have to find the. Oh, I forgot to turn my lights on. Let me do that real quick. We have to find the hidden land. Is what it's called. And there's no special episode today, so we get to play the normal freaking game. Instead of whatever the hell what happened last time. There they are. My lights. I forgot to turn them off, turn them on entirely last time. Let's turn that back on. There we go. There we go. My RGB in the background. It's the gang. All right. I've never actually sat and watched this, but. Woohoo! All right. Let's just get going. Let's just get right into it. Oh god, like half of yesterday was the team charm. That was like a whole thing, dude. Explorers? That's true. But I can't fly, not yet. I will be able to in the future. Soon. Half of last time was just freaking team charm, and then I guess we found the time gear and then told the guild that Dust Noir's the bad guy. I think that was it. That's all that happened. We found the time gear and now our guild's on our side and we have to find the hidden land. So wrapping up, everyone's aware of the duties today. Michael, yeah. Ready to go. Good. Those of you investigating the hidden land and those of you spreading the word about the true state of our affairs, I expect you to organize our teams accordingly and get going. Let's get right to it, everyone. Hooray! Wait, hold on, give me a second to do some chord adjusting. There we go. We gotta go to the hot spring and get information from Torkoal. I think we have to go through the waterfall cave to get to the hot spring. Let's make our way toward the hot spring. See, like, I wish I could ignore it, but it's so hard to ignore while you're reading out loud, just like how often they re-say words. You know. Hold on one second, my webcam is being dumb. There we go. Focus. Hello, welcome to the stream. Shadow Josh. Being a cute Charmander, it's pretty wonderful, I would say. Being Charmander is kind of great. And I have him immortalized on my wall. Look, it's me. That's me. It's me. It's me. It's wonderful. I'm having a good time. Whoops. Oh shit, I got like a lot of gummies. Oh god. It's been a while since we've done town stuff, so I'm due for some town stuff. Let's do some organizing here. I don't think I care about. I don't have any eggs, dude. I haven't gotten a single egg. Is that all like pass post game stuff. Trico friend is also doing great. He's wonderful. We're kind of besties. It's a wonderful time. We sing songs when we go to bed. Oh, I didn't read that. She's had the Kangaskhan's happy we're back. Oh, that's sweet. Do I want to punch Chatot? I don't think so, but I have been memeing on him the whole time. Jump. Aniv wants to jump. What can I store? I probably don't need more than 2 Oran berries. Oh shit, is my bank full? Oh, damn. That's not good. Okay, this is gonna be a whole thing. Shit. Oh, man. I can sell those. Do I really have that many items? Okay. Okay, hold on. There's gotta be an easy way to do this, right? Hold on. Okay, hold on. Hold on, give me a second. This is gonna be a whole thing. Okay, sort. Let's sort. Let's do this. Fuck. Okay. I'm gonna... Okay. After the future, he doesn't believe you. I was making fun of him when that happened. that was last time I was making fun of him. I also basically wrote the whole scene before it happened. I was like, so here's what's gonna happen. Chaot's gonna be stupid. The guild's gonna disagree. Wigglytuff's gonna believe me, and then Chaot's gonna be threatened into believing me. And that's exactly what happened. But I guess it's also a game for kids, so maybe it's not that surprising that I kind of figured out what would the situation would be. We're gonna sell some stuff. We're gonna look at what we can buy first, though. Apparently, okay. I don't need any of that, so let's sell some shit. Oh, I got the. Oh no, I think I already had that. What do I have? Squirtle specific item. The Empoleon specific item. You know, okay. I wish I could sell from my... I think we just gotta sell some stuff from my inventory. The gummies... Oh, you know what? We'll do gummies now. We'll do gummies now. We'll do gummies. That'll clear up, like, 6 spaces in my inventory. And then we'll be good to go. And I think I have the recycle TN too. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll go ahead and use one of these. I don't need Solar Beam either. I guess I could. Should I teach that to Grovile? Should I also have Grovile learn Solar Beam? I don't need the grimy food from my storage. I have 4 pages of apples. Blue. Cool. I really don't think we need as many apples as we have, so we're gonna free up some space here. There we go. Now that should be enough space for me to store and finally deal with some of the stuff in my inventory. We're just gonna do blue again. I think I'm always gonna pick the same color, because I don't care about worrying about odds or anything. Cool, rainy orb. Okay. Now we'll do... so I got 4 gummies. I don't really care about what the stats are. I think I just want to get through this. Oops. IQ, special attack, perfect. IQ, social defense. IQ, attack. Oh, we're done, okay. There we go. Okay, now our inventories are a little bit more cleaned out. Let's go to Krogunk and see if there's any cool special items. And then we'll... I think I have that already. Actually, what is... Slightly boost special attack. I think that's one I have. Larvitar bow. Dense poncho. Oh, for... Sensing hat! I don't think I have anything cool. I think what I wanted was the Kindle scarf. No. It might have been the heat amulet. What was that? Flame bangle? Yes, it was the flame bangle to absorb water moves. But I guess it's fine. I can look at the special items as soon as they appear on the list, so I guess I'll just have to check back every day now and hope I get something good. I probably don't even get the higher level special items until post-game, so it's whatever, but I'm not really that bummed. Let's go ahead and get the rest of my... Okay. Am I storing right now? I think I'm storing. I only need 1 escape orb. We'll keep the rest of the orbs, I guess. 2 reviver seeds is fine. 2 orange berries, 2 apples, okay. I'll probably sell the blast seed, to be honest. I don't think blast seed is useful for me anymore. Because it's only like 30 damage or something. Probably gonna sell all those. I'm gonna give the power band to Grovile. I guess he's kind of on his own. I have so many reviver seeds too. Okay. Okay, we're gonna take all those. We're gonna sell them, and then we're gonna... Oh god, storage management is a nightmare. I didn't think I'd ever hit the maximum. I didn't want to sell. Here we go. Lots of money. Okay. We'll take those. Those are fine. I could teach explosion. I could recycle these, but I think I want money instead. I guess, I mean, I have a lot of money. Maybe I don't need the money. Okay, what did we get from that little box? Wiggly hair! Grovile specific item. Boost defense. I mean, might as well, because that applies to Trico as well, so I might as well keep that. I'm gonna recycle the rest of my stuff. We're gonna do recycling instead. We'll keep the power band for whoever our third party member is. Recycle the blast seed. Okay, I'm done on this side of town. Actually, I'm gonna go back to Sharpedo Rock and see if there's anything there now. Since we don't need to go there. Nope, just a little cool hidden hideaway, little treehouse kind of thing. Recycle. Not, we're not going back. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Treasure bag. Let's get rid of this blast seed. I should have done the gummies too. And then yeah, I think we just get rid of. I'll keep explosion just in case because I think it's funny, but otherwise, let's just recycle all this shit. I'm just gonna always do red because it's on the top. I don't care. I said I was always gonna pick blue, I think. The question really is that I'm always gonna pick the same color. And it looks like it worked out. That's wonderful. I don't know if that's super cool for me. Okay. Reflect. I'll keep Solar Beam. I don't think the decoys are going to be super helpful for me. I don't think I need more escape orbs than I have. Okay, and then we're gonna go back. I forgot to grab the gummies, so we're gonna get the gummies. And then we're gonna go grab, we're gonna eat, use the shakes, use the smoothies. Oh, that's actually huge. And then I think we'll be good to go. And then we can move on and go talk to Torkoal. I didn't expect this to turn into like a thing, but my my storage being full was a pain in the ass. Okay, so I've cleared out 30 items. Okay. 35 items. Should we talk to everyone? I feel like we should talk to at least a few of the people. The ones we know. Alright, I'm glad. Okay, so I guess everyone in town is being like, hey, by the way, Grovile's a good guy. Smoothie. IQ went up. Defense up. IQ. Type advantage master. Whoops, I meant to hit A. Attack. Special attack. And IQ. Alright. Nope, we're done. We're done. Leave me alone. We're done. I'm leaving. I'm going to go on a mission now. We're done putzing about. What was the IQ thing I got? Pokemon has the power to let rescue targets escape a dungeon. What is Brick Tough? Gives it more HP. Oh, I just have more health now. That's cool. What was the other one I got? Type Advantage Master. Critical hit rate is boosted when attack at. Ooh, that's nice. That's good. Dude, I didn't realize how many of these were, like, super cool. Oh. Oh my god. So all the party members I've been upset at have not had this ability when they're using the same move over and over again. Okay. Let's go ahead and save. Should I relink my two moves? I feel like I shouldn't. Do I have 3 Reviver Seeds? I don't have my, I don't have any elixirs, so we're gonna go grab some elixirs. We'll put away a Reviver Seed. I don't think I'm gonna use this. And the stun seeds aren't as useful, so we'll put one of those away. Those aren't very useful. I feel like the other orbs I have are more useful. Because like the orbs in this game, not being able to use them in boss rooms is just such a whole thing. Orbs enemies to the stairway. Okay. Okay, and then we want... Did I have an escape orb? I don't think I had an escape orb. I'll have to look here in a second. I want 2 of these. And then the Totter Seed. Do I have an escape orb on my inventory? I do. Okay. We're done here, finally. For real this time. We're for real this time. Let's get out of here. everyone talk to Torkoal. Sick. Oh, I was gonna relink my move, but it's not a big deal. I don't care that much. Good news is everything here is weak, so I'm gonna destroy them. I'm not even getting XP for it. Honestly, killing the enemies isn't specifically because they're in our way. I missed! What? We both missed. Hello? Am I too strong to take damage? Is that what's happening? Is the solar beam really necessary on the Whooper, dude? 685! Oh my god. Bro. That was extreme. You did not need to do that to him. You did not need to do that to him. I'm just using wide slash because it's not my best move. I forget how long this dungeon was. Hopefully not too long. Miss! Oh, I'm out already. I guess I missed against the Tangela like 3 times. Which is like a third of my move usage. I need to get that move that the Team Charm member had, the Metacham, that makes it so I can't miss. Sure Strike or whatever. Where the fuck are the stairs, dude? Jeez. Dude, you don't need to solar beam. Chill. You fool. I'm stronger than you. Slumber Orb. I mean, these are nice items at least. Upon the weakest of enemies, it's about sending a message. Honestly, I respect that. I don't have any issue with that at all. He hasn't gotten to use the solar beam a whole ton so far, so I encourage it. You dare exist in my presence. True though. Wants to be my friend? I don't think I had a Tangela, so I decided to let that go. Money. There we go. Okay. Looks like we're out. Hot spring. Sick. Hot spring is good for loosening up knotted muscles. Why do I keep my arms raised all the time? It does a number on my shoulders. I'm lucky that hot spring exists. I'm usually hot head, but when I come here, I calm right down. Hello, Torkoal.
Ah, my young friends, come to wash away your exhaustion. Oh, not so. I see. You seek my wisdom. There's no place better than this to share your story.
We're from the future. Bah. Wong.
Oh, I see. The hidden land, you say? I have heard of it.
Really?
The hidden land is truly a place of legend. It is tattered lore at best, handed down by oral tradition.
No matter. Please tell us.
Of course. I can tell you only what I've heard. The hidden land lies beyond the sea. In a hidden place, so the story goes.
A hidden place? Shocker. The hidden land is hidden? Wow!
Yes. The hidden land allows only the chosen to find it. To go there, one must possess certain qualities.
Oh, a place like only someone with proper qualifications can go to? Okay, what are those?
They are... What were they? I'm sorry, it slipped my mind.
You forgot? Please remember. This is really important.
That's easy for you to say, but... Oh, that's it. You need proof. Proof of some sort. Yes, that was it. Proof.
Proof? What kind of proof?
That would be... Forgive me. I've forgotten again.
You can't remember?
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Alright. Can you recall anything else?
No, that is all. Forgive me, youngsters. If I recall what proof you need, I'll be sure to let you know.
Yes, please. Thank you, Torkoal. We should be back to the guild now. That was... something. So Torkoal couldn't provide us with many answers. That's too bad.
That's not entirely true. We know that we need proof, and knowing that is a step forward. Right?
We're searching too, but didn't find anything.
But there's no giving up. We have to keep trying.
I'll keep trying too. We should have dinner and rest up for the night. We'll resume our efforts tomorrow.
Oh well.
Thanks, everyone. You require proof of a hero. Monster Hunter theme play. Proof of non-existence. Roxas theme plays in the background. Proof of peace. Proof of purchase. You need a receipt to get to the island. We're not making as much project as... We're not making as much project as we hoped. I said it again. We're not making as much progress as we hoped. When we talked with Torkoal, I started thinking we had hope. I wonder what Grovile's doing. Is he gathered the time gears? We need to hurry too. There's no point in getting all flustered, especially since everyone's helping out. We should get some sleep. Then start with fresh resolve tomorrow. Okay, good night. The next morning. The thief looking mighty shifty as they ask for proof of purchase. He's not a thief. I mean, technically, I guess. I don't know. We learned he's a good guy. I guess if he steals stuff, he's still a thief, though. Even if it's for good reasons, you know? Technically. Save and continue. Ahem. In short, the hidden land remains shrouded in mystery, but we're not giving up. Let's get out there and investigate again today. Let's go. Where should we investigate today? We've already talked to Torkoal. We're out of leads. Pokemon detected. Torkoal, the town elder. Oh man, next day. I remembered! Torkoal's here?
Finally, I caught up with you. Climbing up to this guild is harder on these old bones.
What brings you here? Did you remember something?
Indeed I did, but I recalled only one more tiny thing, sorry to say. Yesterday I contemplated the waters of the hot spring for a long time. Finally, one recollection resurfaced. But it really is something small. I worry if it would even be worthwhile sharing with you.
Well, tell it. You already came this way.
Not to worry. Every little bit of information helps, however small. Please say it. When we spoke of travel to the hidden land yesterday, I said that you needed proof of your qualification to go there. I remembered a bit more about that proof. The proof bears an inscription of a certain pattern.
A certain pattern? What kind of pattern would that be?
How can I describe it? It's difficult, but I can tell you that the pattern is quite intricate and odd. It's a peculiar one, the kind of pattern you rarely see.
The pattern you rarely see? Golly. Trying to think of such a thing. What could it be? What could a pattern like that look like? Pattern you rarely see. Wait a second. Peculiar pattern. I remember that time. One day. Oh, I was a spelling fragment. I meant that it looked like junk, but take a closer look. See? The inscription forms a strange pattern, doesn't it? I've never seen a pattern like this. That's it. The relic fragment was inscribed with a peculiar pattern. What is it? A relic fragment? Right, the pattern! Could you have a look at this?
Oh, this is it! It's a pattern exactly like this.
What? Oh my god! How long have you been holding on to that for?
Where did you get this?
I'm not sure if I can remember. I just happened to pick it up. This is fabulous. Does that mean that Clark's qualified to go to the hidden land?
That I wouldn't know. Maybe yes, maybe no.
That's a weird little poem there.
To go to the hidden land, one must surely possess that proof. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the bearer of the proof really possesses the qualifications of the chosen. That proof may be merely the physical key to the hidden land. Even before that, though, this shares the same inscribed pattern. There's no sure connection between the relic fragment and the hidden land.
It almost looks like it forms a word, and the word, however nonsense, appears to be up top. God, Vaughn's so stupid. That's funny. But there's no question that this pattern has something to do with the hidden land. Knowing only that is a lot.
I suppose so. Wait, you do realize that the hidden land is only a spoken legend, right? You're surely not trying to find the hidden land.
Yes, we are.
My goodness, what a surprise.
Chatot, this pattern. We've seen this somewhere, haven't we? What? Okay. Yes. The sea inlet to the northwest. Inside Brine Cave. But, Guildmaster, that place. Yes, I know. The vicious bandit was there. A vicious bandit? Golly. Everyone, please listen. I once saw the same pattern deep inside a place called Brine Cave. I think we can discover more by taking the relic fragment there. However, there is one problem. A Pokemon lurks there who is a vicious bandit. We're not about to let that scare us. We're explorers. We need to be brave. Woohoo! Look at everyone. So exciting. Neat Dreams, welcome back. How's it going? We're gaming. We're chilling. We're looking for the hidden land. And it's going okay. I'm doing good. It was a sleepy day, but I managed to shake it off for stream, so we're going. Bop, bop, bop. Thanks, everyone. That place is challenging. Everyone should take time to get ready. We'll set off for Brine Cave tomorrow.
I thought that the hidden land was nothing more than a folklore. Getting old has made me thinking so inflexible. That's very sad. This all makes me remember the days when I dreamt of romance and adventure. Help me see my dreams again. Do your best.
Okay, bye. How does a turtle climb a ladder?
It was nothing.
All right, everyone. Spend the rest of the day getting ready. Dismissed. We'll get ready, by golly. Oh my gosh, this will be so exciting. A vicious man. Is Brine Cave? That's not where...
Chadot, you stay at the guild tomorrow on standby.
Guildmaster, forgive me if I'm out of line, but please let me go to Brine Cave.
Nope, I can't let you face danger like that ever again.
But that's why. That's why I must go. Please take me.
Okay, then I want you to go with Team Talagar tomorrow. Guide Conair's team to the place where we saw the strange pattern. But I want you to be careful.
Thank you. I won't let you down.
Another thing. I have something I need to do, so I have to go out. You're in charge while I'm gone.
As you wish. So that's where it stands. You two will be with me tomorrow. As such, Team Talagar's non-guild members may not come along. Brine Cave has a vicious foe lying in wait. You mustn't let your guard down. And don't do anything that keeps me from succeeding there.
Okay. Let's go get ready.
Let's go to Treasure Town. I'm done, dude. I'm good. I'm chilling. I guess we'll see if Krogan has anything cool, though. Solid Shield. Who's that for? Rhyhorn, okay. Evening Bow. Illumise, don't care. Sticky Bow. Okay, so I can get 3-star items. I just gotta get lucky. Oh god.
Chadot, let me rephrase this. Brine Cave, as in brine, as in Dragon's Dogma brine. Those wriggly squiggly tentacles that jiggle anything that falls into them and gets wet. This is a PG game and we can't have you risk the rating
That may be a little uncomfortable. I have not played Dragon's Dogma, so I'm unsure what you're talking about. I didn't use any items, I don't think. I guess I picked up some items, so maybe I should at the very least put some stuff away, perhaps. Oh, there's Torkoal again.
Old to be young again. If I was younger, I'd certainly join the challenge to find the hidden land.
Hold it there, old timer.
Who is it?
Oh, fuck me.
What is it? What do you want?
Well, we're Team Skull. Do you have any business with Wigglytuff's guild?
Whoa, I heard you say something that sounded fun.
Something about the hidden land?
I was only...
Someone's coming!
Guild chumps?
Old timer, why don't we take this chat somewhere we won't be disturbed?
Hey!
Oh shit, they just kidnapped the fucking Torkoal. There they are, back again. God damn it. I thought we were done with their bullshit, dude. I'm so sick of them. I wanted to store the power band, that's what I was doing. I have the dainty box. We'll store that. I don't need second apple. Don't need the blast seed. I got a bunch of slumber orbs. I'll just keep the one. Okay, no, we only have the one box, so I won't bother fast forwarding this, but Quah! I get little chocobo noises. Luxio Fang. Ooh. Cool. Do this special attack. Okay. Same as the Charfang. But I don't have a Luxio in my party, so it doesn't matter. Do I have to talk to someone, or... Oh, right. We should go over to Sharpedo Bluff before we go back to the guild, just in case Groviles come back. Let's go check out. Let's go check it out. Sure, that sounds good. Maybe he'll just be in our party now. Is Grovile back, I wonder? Let's go. Oh, there's a note. Grovile's not here. Hey, look. There's a sheet of paper. Something written on it in footprints. Unless this is a letter from Grovile? It must be a message. To Draconayr and Claire. How are you doing? How goes your search for the hidden land? Things are going well on my end. I've already collected 3 time gears. I have to find only 2 more. I plan to join you when I've collected all 5. Plans have proceeded smoothly, as Elf and his friends understood the situation, and they have fully cooperated. As Elf told me that members of your guild let them know I was coming. Thank you. It's heartening to know that more and more Pokemon are coming to trust us. However, I will continue to stay away from Treasure Town of the Guild. First, I'm not certain if the Pokemon of this world trust me entirely or not. But there's something more troubling than that. Dusknoir is liable to return from the future at any time. Dusknoir? Come to think of it, Dusknoir failed to get rid of us in the future. I wouldn't put it past him to chase us here. He still wants us gone. Okay, I'll keep reading. Since Dusknoir will be coming, we should keep a low profile. This is another reason I should stay away from the Treasure Town of the Guild. I may instead come back to Sharpedo Bluff or the beach. If we should meet, we can exchange information. Good luck on your end. Together, we shall stop the planet's paralysis. Sounds like Grovile's hard at work. We better not fail on our end. According to this letter, Grovile will show up either here or the beach. If we go down to the beach, maybe we'll see Grovile there. Okay, the brine is no spoiler. I don't know. I don't know if I ever really intended on playing Dragon's Dogma. Maybe someday. I don't know. Dragon's Dogma 2 just came out, and people were throwing a fit over the microtransaction stuff. So I don't know where I stand on the series really at the moment. Chapter 18, Lapras. I was hoping to see Grovile here. It's not here after all. Speaking of not being here, the Krabby aren't here either. In regards to the microtransactions, it's much ado about nothing. Well, a lot of what I saw was A, B, C, or D. D, always D. Was people, half of the people were going, why would they do microtransactions? Because you can get all of the stuff in the game at this point. Why did they feel the need to make it microtransactions? And then the other half of people were going, guys, ignore the microtransactions. You can get them in the game. It's fine. And then it was just like the principle versus the reasonable stuff. And I personally don't really care because I'm very neutral about the game, about the series. So I kind of just stayed out of it. Speaking of not being here, Krabby aren't here either. They always come out in here in the evening to blow bubbles. I love seeing their bubbles go floating away in the evening sky. That's too bad. Let's let down, but look, the sunset's beautiful, like it always is. You know, it was my dream to solve the secret of the relic fragment, but I would never have guessed that the relic fragment was connected to the hidden land. That reminds me. It was here, wasn't it? Where Coughing and his sidekick stole my relic fragment. It's like if they sold 5 times Oran berries to your bank. We'll take that. Ah! Not gonna make a move to get it back? What's the matter? You scared? I didn't expect you to be such a big coward. Call Sky here. See our chicken? Man. Sorry, flashback. I don't care that much. I remember this. I remember. I was too scared to get it back. You gave me courage then. You know what? That was how we really started as a team. Getting back this relic fragment was Team Talager's first adventure. And now we're using the same relic fragment so we can go to the hidden land. If you think about it, it's kind of strange. It's true. My adventures with Claire and searching for the hidden land. The relic fragment was the start of both. This beautiful sunset will be lost if the planet's paralysis can't be stopped. We have to stop it. We can't waste any time finding the hidden land. We have to do good tomorrow. We have to try hard. I must fulfill the mission that I had before losing my memory. My mission with Grovile. My mission to help Pokemon of this world and those in the future. What? Draconayr, that... What is that? Oh shit. It's a Lapras. Hello. There they go. Shocker, a Lapras showed up. What could it be? It looks like it's swimming across the sunset. I think it's a Pokemon. Oh, that's strange. The sun's almost gone. We should go back to the guild soon. Okay. Oh, there they are. Haha, the Krabby weren't around for a good reason. They ran off, scared of us. Haha. Ooh, but Chief, that old-timer Torkoal wasn't lying to us after all. Hehehe, that junk we stole back then. I didn't know it was going to be something that valuable. So what? We'll get that relic fragment from them one way or another. That means the hidden land is going to be explored by none other than us, Team Skull. Dude, fuck these guys. I'm so sick of them being around. Much. Smoon. Moon. Oh shit. Are we gonna get robbed in the middle of the night? Maybe not. Lapras is still hanging out. Oh shit, dude. Lapras. Long time no see. It's been too long, Wigglytuff. I don't know what voice to give Lapras. You look well. Is Charlotte doing well too? Yes, very well. I'm glad to hear that. I've always meant to thank you. I deeply appreciate the promise you made and upheld for all this time. No problem, no big deal. But today, I'm here to see you about that promise. We find ourselves in a situation where we can't afford to hold up the promise. I suspect that you know why. Please tell me about that strange pattern we once saw. It's morning. Yes. Okay, so I guess Lapras was Wigglytuff's friend, and then they were with them in Brine Cave, I guess. Here. And so you're all quite well aware, Guildmaster has not yet returned from his errand. However, I intend to set off for Brine Cave as scheduled. Where'd Guildmaster go? I wouldn't know that. Is he gonna be okay? No problem. There's no need for your concern at all. Guildmaster must have decided that we can manage on our own without him for the time being. That's why he hasn't come home yet. Furthermore, in the place of our absent Guildmaster, you have me to lead you. This is about the reaction I expected. Why isn't anyone saying anything? It can't be. Do you all think I'm not up to the task? Everyone, out with it. Am I perhaps inadequate? Worthless to you? Wow. No, I wouldn't say that. The Guildmaster isn't here, it just feels less safe. You're the Guildmaster, he's hard to figure out, but it really comes through when things get rough. Guildmaster isn't with us right now, so we have to take charge and do what does he want. That's right. I'm sure we can get our job done on our own. Let's go for it on our own. It's like he just said the same thing twice. That second dialogue didn't need to exist. We can count on the Guildmaster for it. We can't count on the Guildmaster for everything. That's the spirit. Let's do our best. Try not. The Guildmaster is absent, so there's only one among us who can lead, and that's you. Huh? Who, me? Of course, you said so earlier. So that we'll be fine because you're here to lead us. Lead the way. I'm counting on you. Oh, he's crying. Well, everyone, you can always count on me when things are bad. What's the matter? Sounds Call of Duty already. I know. Commencing now, we shall depart on a guild exploration of Brine Cave. Everyone, let us excel together. Woohoo. Oh shit, it's just happening. Have we been here before? Now listen, everyone. This is the entrance to Brine Cave. Your objective is to reach the deepest part of the dungeon. That is where one will find the same odd pattern inscribed in the relic fragment that Claw has. However, it is there that an extremely vicious Pokemon lurks.
Extremely vicious? Golly, that sounds scary.
Chanot, what is it?
Yesterday, the guildmaster said something about that vicious Pokemon, but Chanot, you seem to know just as much about this dungeon. Is it possible you've been here before?
That's right. I have come here before. I explored here a long time ago with the guildmaster. It was deep in this cave that we saw the peculiar pattern. It was then, however, those tough Pokemon appeared.
So what were they like?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Yes, but I am loath to admit it. They attacked with no warning out of nowhere. I was knocked out before I could do a thing. When I came to, the guildmaster was tending to my wounds, but I had no memory of events before that, so I couldn't tell you what the attackers were like.
I guess there's nothing to go on.
Wait a second.
Hey, Chanot, at first you said there was a vicious Pokemon, but then you said they attacked you. Is there more than one?
No, it wasn't just one. There was one extremely vicious Pokemon, but it wasn't alone. When they attacked... Oh, I remember now. They attacked all at once. I recall getting slammed with water, like a tidal wave.
Like a tidal wave? I mean water type moves. Or ground type, but I don't like water at all.
That's right. We should make several groups to explore the cave.
We'll do that, sir. Yep. Form teams that don't bunch up types.
You two! Remember what the guildmaster said yesterday. 2 members from Team Taliga must be in my group. Therefore, you two shall accompany me when exploring this cave. Understood. I trust you won't hold me up too much.
Dude, I know flamethrower. I'm gaming.
You must not expect me to do everything for you. It's up to you to look after yourselves.
Understood.
All right, everyone. We're off to conquer Brine Cave. Let's give it our all. Chief, looks like these elves from the guilds are already inside.
Whoa, should we follow them?
Sounds good. We'll track them, but let's keep out of sight. When the right time comes along, somewhere in the cave, that's when we'll grab that Wimpy Clar's relic fragment. Then we'll hightail it to the deepest part. We'll grab all the glory of solving this mystery. Brilliant, Chief. Your plan's perfect.
Naturally. Anyway, it will be us, Team Skull. We'll be the ones going to the hidden land. Across the land.
Alright, I can't wait to beat their ass. Do I finally get to fight them in a fair fight by the end of this cave? That's kind of what I'm hoping. Oh, I can't give him an item. That's a worthless waste of space. I'm gonna throw that power band away if I need to. Yo, the music here's bopping, dude. Yep. I forget, he's water rock, so quad resist. Albanite is water rock, right? If I'm recalling correctly. It's my understanding, at least. Krabby! Okay. Flamethrower was enough to take care of him. Use protect, I don't even care. Why are you giving me... I've seen Violent Seed before. There we go. You're not protected. Get out of here, dude. Dude, the music here's bumping. Not what I wanted. Stun Seed, that's good. Not my favorite type of seed, but... I'm gonna leave. That guy was using rollout. It scared me. Perish. Ha, you fool. Whoops, well. Oh. Shout out, help. Thank you. Rebound orb. What does that do? Confers mini counter status. Oh, that's cool. That would be an efficient way to handle a monster house. Thank God for Solar Beam. China's got it. Where the stairs are there. Bum, 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 bum. We'll go down first. Evasion orb, oh, that's fine. Money. Heal seed, don't particularly care. Oranberry I might replace something with. We'll do that. I don't need those ink band. Should have gone right, but it wasn't the last room, so at least that's nice. Oh shit, he lived. This game is really stingy with the elixirs, that's for sure. Try not help. Mirror move. Dude, just attack it normally, bruh. Gummy! What do I replace this one with? Probably, I like the Violent Seed, so I'm gonna try and keep that. So let's get rid of one of the orbs. Let's get rid of the... We'll get rid of the Rebound orb, I guess. As cool as it sounds, I don't know if it's super useful. It's efficient, not necessary. And again, only would be useful in like a monster house. Unless I find like a really strong enemy. I guess that's also something that's a difference. I'm used to Rescue Team DX where they had the strong enemies in all the dungeons. But this game doesn't really have that. There's no like especially strong enemies that you will casually find around. So I'm gonna use one of my elixirs here soon. So the roll call, so a lot of the orbs are kind of, they don't feel nearly as useful. You'll see, I don't think I care about that. Healing is just the status effects as far as I'm aware, so. Dude, Trico is weak to like everything here. I'm just gonna let him solar beam him. You did not need to do that. Ah, you missed, fool. Oh, I want the box. Shit. I'll use one of my elixirs. No, I messed up. Unfortunate. Wasted an elixir. It's fine. It's fine. Episode Trico. That'd be cool if the last special episode was about your partner. I'm kind of hoping that that's the case, but I don't know how they would feasibly do that, since your partner can be any Pokemon, you know? Hey, Chatot, are we nearing the place where you saw the pattern? We're nearly there. We don't have far to go. However, as I've told you before, every step also takes us closer to those vicious Pokemon. Yeah, and we'll have to stay careful and keep our eyes open. Anyway, we don't have to far. Fuck, dude, reading. We don't have far to go now. Let's keep it up. Oh shit! They totally just mugged us in real time. Whoops! Excuse me. Hey. Oh, long time, weaklings. You're that nice team, eh? This is it, the relic fragment. That's... I'll be taking this. Hey, this is the second time you're getting mugged for this? Hee, don't do that very well, that's for sure. Wait, please. I'm afraid I'm not following what's going on here. Why are you even here? We haven't seen any of you from Team Skull since you suddenly disappeared during the expedition. I fretted for your well-being. Worried, huh? Your guild's full of gullible nincompoops just waiting to be fleeced. Oh, your demeanor and language seem to be much coarser now. Chatot, they were deceiving the guild all the time, the whole time. I don't know why I said all this time, as if they've been around for the last 6 hours of gameplay. They're a bad exploration team. Team Skull's a bunch of crooks. What? Is that true? What else? You'd have to be naive beyond belief to be fooled this long. Anyway, now that we've got the relic fragment, we just have to go to the hidden land. Eat your heart out, nitwits. Okay, we're just gonna watch them leave, I guess. Squawk! Those stinking scoundrels. Play me for a fool, will they? They won't get away with this. I'll show them what it means to trifle with me. Chatot, wait. Fuck. He's gone. He was furious. I hope we'll be okay. There's a vicious Pokemon he warned us about. Not just that, we need to recover my relic fragment. We should hurry. Alright, let's do some inventory management. If I'm allowed to. That would be a shame if I was not allowed to. Nope, not allowed to. Okay, we're just gonna continue on then. Whoops. I can't change my inventory, so I guess we're just gonna go in, just the two of us. Cool, first room. Nice. The tile set looks... Ow. Of course it's hailing. Okay. Okay. Our health is fine. I think Wide Slash might be better than any of the moves I'm using. No, can't do that though. Well, we're not gonna figure it out that way. I hope this goes away soon, dude. God. It's not really that much stronger. Shit. This is actually really bad and I need to move. I can't... Pray, I guess. Thank God that I can't hit my teammates, because that would have been very bad. You know what? Just fucking... Of course, confusion also affects orbs. I might die. Ooh. Is my health beyond the bottom screen? Dude, my health is so high that it goes beyond the screen. I wish... Dude, this confusion is lasting forever. Jesus Christ. Please end his life. Thank you. You know, the solar beam? Exactly what I was hoping for. Alright. Oh, I didn't even realize it was in this top room. I could have avoided that entire situation. Thank God. Heal seed, that's nice. Maybe the heal seeds I can use for confusion. Maybe I've been sleeping on the heal seeds a bit more than I should have. Hello, please perish. He flinched! Dude, I made him cringe! Huge. I guess it doesn't matter, because he dealt with it, but it's fine. Ow. Ha! Burned! And you're cringing, loser. He's dead, because solar beam, so... doesn't even matter. Unnecessary. Let me move on, please. He got an attack off? Lame. That was kind of cheating. Oh no, water gun on the grass type. Brine Cave Pit. Well, we've descended quite a ways, but we haven't caught up with Chadot or Team Skull yet. This place, it's horribly hot and humid in here. Oh, was that Chadot? Ugh. I heard a voice from over there. Let's go. Oh, shit. Wow, it's Team Skull. Ugh. What happened to you guys? No way, were you attacked by a mysterious gang of enemies? You knew it was coming? Would have been good to know that. Not that you tell us. Skuntank, are you alright? You find us at your mercy, and you're worried how we are? How sickeningly generous can you nitwits be? We're not about to walk away from anyone if they're hurt. Your concerns are wasted on us. We'll be fine. That pompous Chadot riled me up enough to... Fuck, I didn't read the rest of that. Chadot did what? Here's what he did. That Chadot came along after we got wiped out. When he spotted us down and out, he scolded us with all sorts of choice words. After giving us that blistering tongue lashing, he went on his way. The things he said about us, I'm still seeing red. I'm so steaming mad that I refuse to give up here. I'm getting out of here if I have to crawl, so I can deliver my payback to that blasted Chadot. But if you think about it, we were close to giving up when that Chadot saved us by riling us up. Even though you'd say you'd been saved, you look like you're still in a lot of pain. We've been bad to you all this time. You went through downright rotten times because of us, but you two can still bring yourselves to worry about it? Yeah. You made us furious over this and that, but when we see you down and out like this, we can't just walk away. Speak for yourself. By the way, he doesn't speak for me. The relic fragment. Oops, how unlike me. It slipped out of my grip. And I can't move yet. Guess Clara's gonna have to steal it back. Skuntank. I only dropped the relic fragment by accident. You're free to pick it up. Or not. Why thank me? Next time we meet, we're going back to our old tricks of messing with you. Besides, don't waste your time worrying about us. You should be worrying about Chadot instead. That's right. Where did he go? He went deeper. He's going after those enemies. You two hurry up and go too. Thanks, Skuntank. We're going in deeper after them. Be sure to get your team out. Don't give up. I'll ask you not to patronize Team Skull. We have to go. You two, can you move? You can't be serious. The way they trounced us, I'm just too wiped out. So that's it. Oh, we must really look like a mess. But Chief, I know you kept it to yourself until the very end that you're a little bit of a good guy. You redeemed yourself. Shut it. I gotta say, there's something to be said about you doing that. Hehehe. Shut up. Oh my god. Interesting. That was a very interesting interaction. Chadot. You two, be alert. They're very close by. I saw the retreating figures when I gave chase, but I'd lost sight of them by the time I reached the spot. They must be lurking here somewhere. But there doesn't appear to be any place to hide. What is this? An odd sense of foreboding. There are only these rocks walls around us. That one glance I caught of them, I'm on the verge of remembering. That's it! When they attacked me last time, they seemed to appear out of nowhere. But when they really appeared from was... no one ever looks up. Oh shit. Be careful! They're above us! What? Okay, we can... back to... I am Kabutops. And the Omasar brothers. All trespassers need to be taught a lesson. Take that. What? Oh shit. Chadot coming in for the rescue. Chadot. What? I won't let you get away with this. How do you like that? That hero shielded his buddies with his body. That's not what I'd call smart. I remember. The big hero's been here before. We knocked him out the same way too. This is the second time he's done that. That really takes a whole lot of smarts. Say what you will. They're our prized recruits. I won't let you harm them. Chadot. Oh shit, he's dead. It's your turn next. Take this. Dang, I wish I got to fight Team Skull, but I guess saving that for... Okay, so the good news is we have Trico with Solar Beam. The bad news is I don't have a Sunny Orb. Cutscene beat them. Stronger than normal. That's true, that's true, that's true. I'm okay with us solving Team Skull in cutscenes in a social encounter. Let's do this. Get one of them out of play immediately. Oh my bullet seed. Jesus Christ. You deal with him because of bullet seed. And I'll deal with this guy. Because he's only normal resistant. Actually, I should be doing this. Never mind, he moved. Dude, one shots. Dude, oh my god, Trico's so strong. Oh, the bullet seed. Dude, he does so much damage. Holy fuck. Oh, we scared them away. Chadot, I hope you're okay. Chadot. Are you alright? Stay with us. Chadot. Oh, it's Grovyle. What's up? That voice. Guildmaster. Wigglytuff. Grovyle too? Oh shit, the whole gang. Ah, Grovyle! What's Grovyle doing the Guildmaster? I'll explain later. This is more important. Chadot. Chadot's down. Golly, he's hurt. Shit, dude. Are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine. I'm hale and hearty, as you can see. Chadot, I'm sorry. If I only got here earlier. Please don't blame yourself, Guildmaster, but this is humiliating, to be knocked out by the same enemies again. That isn't true. The last time we came here, you were knocked out right away, so you probably don't remember this. But that time, when Kabutop's gang sprang out at us, you shielded me from attack. Excuse me? I sent Kabutop's gang packing right after, but if it weren't for you jumping out to shield me, I would have been knocked out on the spot. I owe you my life. I don't know if I believe that because Wigglytuff's a fucking Chad, but whatever, I guess. That's what happened? Chadot, you are my invaluable partner. I am privileged to hear such words, Guildmaster. I'm such a happy Pokemon. Ah! Dying. Everyone stay calm. He'll live. He still has time. Get him back to the guild now.
Quick, let's all go back to the guild.
No.
No, we will take Chadot back to the guild. But as for you, Draconayr, and Clar, and you, Grovile, you three must keep going. But don't worry about it. Besides, if you don't go on from here, Chadot shielding you will have been for nothing. The strange pattern is up ahead. Now hurry.
Thanks, Wigglytuff. We will continue onward. Let's go, Draconayr.
Okay.
Let's go.
Good luck. Find the hidden land.
Does that mean he has the rest of the time pieces?
Grovile, how did you know what to join us here?
Wigglytuff brought me. Wigglytuff did? That's right. Wigglytuff had been looking for me. As soon as he found me, he asked me to go with him. Said you were close to finding the hidden land. Worked out fine because I planned to join you anyway.
Plan to join us?
Does that mean... That's right. I've collected all the necessary time gears.
Yes! All we have to do now is get to the hidden land. Let's find that piece with the strange pattern now. Wow, there's water here. This is seawater. Look at that.
That's pretty.
The cave's mouth opens wide to the sea. We couldn't see it from outside because it's in the shadows.
It's true. The sea is visible beyond the rock walls. It's nearly evening. We didn't notice the time go by. The tide rises up to here from that gap in the walls.
That's... Draconayr, what's wrong? Look at this.
Oh shit, it's the symbol.
This is the same as the pattern on my relic fragment. I guess this is the same pattern that Chadot described. Let me bring out the relic.
Oh shit.
The relic fragment.
It's glowing. Oh, is it a map? It must be a map.
The pattern on the wall's glowing too. It's as if it's reacting to the relic.
Ah, flashbang! Is an island gonna rise out of the ocean? Fucking subspace emissary.
What? What was that? A beam of light shot out to sea. What's that out there?
Oh god, there he is.
What? It's coming closer. It's swimming.
Hello.
Clar, Draconayr, and Grovile, correct?
You know our names?
Yes, I was informed by Wigglytuff.
Wigglytuff told you?
That pattern on the wall shot a beam of light across the sea. You appeared right after that. Can you tell me who you are? I am Lapras. I am the guide to the hidden land.
Yo, what? Sorry, I sounded like chat out there for a second.
You can take us to the hidden land? You unleashed a beam of light from the pattern on the wall. That is the signal for gaining entry to the hidden land. It is beyond the sea. Step onto my back. I will carry you across the sea. Don't be afraid. I am exceptional. I can carry you all and more on my back. It's beyond the sea. The hidden land.
Draconayr, Clar, let's go. Beyond the sea. Hooray! We did it. Yes, we're in a save. Save complete.
To the hidden land.
We're just riding across the ocean at nighttime. Is that what's about to happen? Oh no, we're back at the guild. Okay. Guildmaster.
How's Chadot? Will he be alright? Yep. He needs to sleep and recover tonight. I think he'll be fine tomorrow.
Woo, I'm glad to hear that.
That's a load off my mind, by golly. That's great, Chadot. We'll be okay. What is it, Sunflora?
You said Chadot saved you at the cave long ago. Can you tell us about it?
Yep. This is what happened.
Oh, he did the same thing where he looked up. It's the same cutscene again, I'm not gonna bother. Guildmaster, watch out!
Kabutops and his brutes attacked us without warning. Chadot reacted first and shielded me from them, and then he got knocked out. I sent Kabutops gang packing after that, but Chadot was knocked out. I didn't know what to do. I was in a panic because I couldn't help Chadot. That was when Lapras appeared.
Lapras?
Yep, Lapras. Lapras saved Charlotte.
I see. That's how you met Wigglytuff then.
Yes. I didn't intend to reveal myself at all, but I changed my mind the instant I saw Charlotte on the ground. I simply had to help. Afterward, I made Wigglytuff promise me something.
So Lapras knew the world was ending the entire time, but decided it wasn't his problem. Until a pesky adventure team started shining lights all over his place and being annoying, so now he's shipping them off to get rid of them. Yep.
I don't think that's quite what's happening, but okay. That is a way they could take it. A promise?
Yes.
It's how I chose to take it. Well, that you're free to do so. I don't think that's quite where they are meaning for it to go, but if that's how you took it, then I mean, power to you. So what was the promise?
I think Lapras recognized that we were an exploration team right away. So he said to us that he couldn't tell if we were bandits with big ambitions or if we were an exploration team with good intentions. So he asked, for the sake of the world's peace, that we not investigate the peculiar pattern there. That's what he asked of us.
So, what was your reply?
Wigglytuff promised to honor my request most agreeably. He said he owed me thanks for coming to Shoutout's aid, and that he would stop at all investigations into the matter.
So that's what happened. But why didn't you want anyone to investigate the pattern?
In the Hidden Land is Temporal Tower, where Dialga reigns. Dialga feared intruders could wreak havoc at the tower that regulates time. Dialga decided to protect Temporal Tower. He hid the Hidden Land in a gap in time.
Want to see my impression of a submarine? A gap in time?
Yes. It is hard to explain, but it is a gap in time itself. It's the space between parts of a split second.
I see. No wonder the place couldn't be found. A gap in time. No one could ever hope to go to such a place.
No. Dialga left one key for the entering in the Hidden Land. That's a special fragment with a mysterious pattern etched into it. When I heard wise old Torkoal's tale, and I saw Clar's relic fragment, I finally understood. I realized then that the peculiar pattern was linked to the Hidden Land. That's why I headed out to Brine Cave before everyone else went. Because I had to see Lapras. I met with Lapras and explained what was happening. How time was stopping all over, and how the world was in peril.
You can kind of see Lapras's expression is like very grim there and like concerned, which is very cool.
I also explained how the time gears needed to be taken to Temporal Tower, so I asked him to reveal how he could get to the Hidden Land.
So what happened?
Lapras revealed it to me. He said that the relic fragment chooses who will go to the Hidden Land.
Relic fragment itself does that? On its own?
Yep, apparently so. And the relic fragment chose Clar.
Why did the relic fragment choose him?
I don't really know. I think Dialga wants to prevent those with bad intentions in their hearts from entering Temporal Tower. That's why the important thing is the purity of heart. So Clar's heart must have resonated with the relic fragment. We can do no more to help. From now on, this burden belongs to Clar and Draconayr. It's Team Talagar's weight to bear now. It's entirely up to them to get to the Hidden Land. It falls to them to stop the destruction of time.
Jesus. Wonderful. I love that that's my responsibility now, I guess. It was sailing all night, Jesus. Fuck, dude.
Hey, Lapras. Yes.
You've been swimming a long time. Are you gonna be okay?
It's up to Team Talagar, so don't worry, it's not your responsibility. Also, part of the guild, part of the team.
Part of the guild, part of the team. Don't worry.
Once they come back from their adventure, we will take 90% of their earnings. I'm fine, Clar. No need for concern, because we're almost there. See? It's coming into view.
What?
On the far horizon, do you see where the seed looks a little different?
It's true. The waves. The waves are all twisted up. Lapras, what is that?
The edge of the gap in time. That is the portal here through which we will go to the hidden land.
Oh shit.
Okay, here we go.
Oh shit. Maximum overdrive? Is Lapras flying? What the fuck, dude? I literally saw it earlier in like the flashing of the title screen stuff, and I still am like, oh my god, what? Lapras is flying. No, that's not it. This isn't flying. We're crossing the Sea of Time. Dude, this is some like Chrono Trigger shit. What the fuck? Lapras, is that it? Is that the hidden land?
Yes, that's the hidden land. We're going in.
Oh, there's the tower. He's swimming in the air. There it is. Wait, if that's Temporal Tower, then what's in the top right? I thought that was Temporal Tower.
This is the hidden land.
Finally made it.
Please look ahead.
What's that? Oh shit. Is that perhaps?
Yes, it's Temporal Tower.
That's where Dialga is. That's where we have to go. The time gears have to be taken there.
But if you take a closer look, that place seems to be floating in the sky.
How are we supposed to get there?
You must take the Rainbow Stone ship.
The what now? The Rainbow Stone ship.
Yes. Far ahead you will find the old ruins. There you will find an ancient mystical vessel, the Rainbow Stone ship. It will take you to Temporal Tower. Thank you, Lapras. This is the extent of what I can do for you. From here, you're on your own. Good luck on reaching Temporal Tower. Okay. Grovyle, Draconayr. We don't have far to go now. Let's keep it up.
Can I leave? No. I think we're committing. I'm gonna try and give him the power band. If I can't, then it's fine. I'll probably just eat the red gummy. Because that's me. Music here is fucking awesome. We have to go to Temporal Tower and set the time gears. That will put a stop to the destruction of time. We don't have far to go. Alright. Are you ready? Looks like we're ready. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Hidden Land, first floor. Dude, the music here is awesome. I love this track. Being a fire type privilege. He's charging Solar Beam. Oh god, I moved and it ruined it. I'm sorry, Clar. Dig, really? Was that necessary? Oh god, I cringed! Can I give the... No, I can't. Okay, so I need to just trash those, I think. If I can't give them my items, maybe Grovyle will join my team after the... We'll see how the end of the game goes. I think we're getting on close here. Is that a Dragonite? Shit. Miss! Fuck, alright. Okay, not super strong. Oh, the stairs. Definitely a bit scary, but not like concerningly so. Why did you attack the Draconayr? Let's bring your speed back down. Solar beam, please kill. Let's go, dude. All right. That was a spooky room, but we made it. It would help if Grovyle didn't attack the sleeping Dragonite. That was really unnecessary. Nothing particular. Okay, thank goodness. There's a saying about waking the dragon, whatever. I mean, Grovyle shouldn't do it. That's what it means. Dude was really just like dragon attack happy. He was really upset that the dragon was sleeping. He was like, "How dare you sleep in my presence?" Sunny day. Oh gosh, it'd be a real shame if solar beam happened. Oh, look at that. Please, solar beam. Bullet seed works too. I should grab a sunny orb from my storage. I don't know why I never did. That's a freaking Garchomp. It's fine. Okay. That dig was clutch. I'm not gonna lie. Oh shit. Don't swords dance. Use solar beam. Okay, worked out. Yeah, this is like super Chrono Trigger music. That's probably why I like it so much. Sleep seed, I want that. Probably replace it with a reviver seed that I just dropped. Converts damage into XP, excuse me? When taking damage. That's pretty interesting. The sphere. The sphere. I don't know why that one. That's really funny to me. The sphere. I'm gonna let you solar beam. I guess you swords dance, it's fine. Solar beam. Oh, it's not sunny anymore because it's a new floor. I messed up, it's fine. Level up. Ow. I wish that healed status effects. Break, I don't care. I'm gonna deal with you first. I have a... Oh, there's no... I'm right next to the fucking... Can anyone... I don't think anyone can learn Water Pulse, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. The sphere. That's fine. I got one. Already on the 9th floor, dang. There we go. Dude, flamethrower's so strong. How did Clark get ahead of me in XP? Not sure that happened. Okay. Boo, 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 boo. Decoy orb. I don't really care about those. That orb. Oh no, I'm cringing. Help. You can quick attack. You deal with that. Fuck. This Perugly is fucking my life. I just lost both my Reviver Seeds. Ugh. Gee, thanks. There's the stairs at least. Get me off of this floor. Okay, here we go. Sunny Day helps a lot more. Stamp a band, I don't think I care that much. Yep, sorry dude. Fire type move. Sunny Day is my favorite. I really should be using Sunny Orbs more than I am. Like, the fact that I have a grass type with Solar Beam and a fire type with Flamethrower, like, I should be using Sunny Day way more than I am. Like, I really should give Trico Sunny Day. I think that would be so beneficial. I don't think I like that one. I don't want... When I'm in a monster house, the last thing I want enemies to do is go to the staircase. You know? Oh shit. I should have scary faced. It's fine. Okay, that worked out. Ah, you flinched! He's cringing! Brown gummy. I'm just gonna eat it. I did not get elixirs from the beginning. That's unfortunate. I messed up on that department. I don't care about the bands. Miss. Fuck. There we go. Good thing he can't learn Flash Fire. Alright, next Draconayr or Magmortar I see him turning into an item, I've decided. Imagine if he threw that orb. That would have been unfortunate. I can't imagine the NPCs are allowed to use the... Fuck. I'm using the heal. I'm using the heal orb, or the heal seed. I have to. I'm so sick of fucking confusion, dude. Okay, that's okay because I'm gonna use an orb. You're an item now. I missed! You know what, just fucking... Go away. What do you mean? What? Item TF? I'm listening. Well, not anymore because I fucking missed. Go the fucks away, dude. Fuck these guys. Get slowed, loser. Well, shit. I'm just going to restart, I guess. God, that sucks, because I'm on, like, floor 11. No, I'm just... It's okay, I get it back. That was kind of lame, I'm not gonna lie. That was stupid. I guess now I can put away the power band. I got pretty screwed by like 3 specific enemies, and it was just a pain in the ass. Alright, attempt 2. Luminous orb. What does that do? I like that orb. That orb brings joy. An Abomus now? Since when? I didn't even know they were here. Thank God, get me off this floor. Also, welcome to the stream, Careless Dragon. What's up? How are you doing? How's your day going? Do not worry. I will item TF the next mag mortar I see, because I hate mag mortar now. Vibing, relaxing. Well, I'm glad that you're relaxing here and chilling. I like when people tell me that they're just chilling when they're in my stream, because that's what I'm going for, is just chill times, you know. Might as well vibe. Yeah, it's vibe time, dude. We're vibing. That's my hope. I'm just here to give good vibes, you know? It's sunny. Please use... I was really hoping he would use Solar Beam, but it worked out. Oh, no! It's okay. Okay, we're good. Hidden Land 7. Okay, we're almost caught up. We didn't lose that much progress, to be honest. We just got really unlucky. Please use... Okay, perfect. I was like, now I don't want him to use Solar Beam, because it's not sunny, so if he uses Solar Beam, I'm gonna be annoyed. Ah, go away. Alright, perfect. Oh my god, Garchomp. I'm gonna save... I want to turn him into an item, but I'm saving my item for Mag Mortar. Bullet Seed is so strong, dude. Super good, dude. Let's go. Another sunny day. Fuck. Okay, I just can't move. I'm okay with that. Well, shit. I'm gonna heal. I'm gonna heal Seed. I forgot to grab elixirs again. It's fine. Orb seed, that's actually useful. Or that can be useful, at least. Alright, I think we're back about where we were, so. Okay, that solar beam seems a bit unnecessary, but he'll do it. It's fine. Level 33. Oh, I guess we did lose level ups, but it's fine. We'll get him back. We can also go to the dojo if I really want to. Ow. I cringed! Help! You did not need the swords dance. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Is Bullet Seed physical? Is that why he has swords dance? Bullet Seed is physical. That's why he has swords dance. Itemized Dialga. I don't think it's an orb, so I can't. Because I can't use orbs during boss fights. So I won't be able to turn them into an item. I'm gonna sit in this room for a minute and just do standard healing. There we go. So he really only uses Bullet Seed at range, because that's all he can do when it happens. I kind of wish Draco was always in the back for that reason. I'm gonna assume that Bullet Seed hits teammates. And that's why he hasn't been using it. God, a Perugly. Okay, he didn't confuse him though. Okay, Solar Beam made that much better. Spurnorm is good. Start teleporting dudes away. Dude, I can't believe I forgot to grab an elixir a second time. That's so annoying. I'm almost out of moves, dude. This is bad. Help. Scary face. I missed. Scary face. I missed again. Scary face. Thank you. My god, dude. Okay. I'm glad it took him 3 turns to use Solar Beam. That's wonderful. Oh, my attack's down because of the Perugly. He lived? There's the burn that killed him. Barely had any health left. I'm surprised this is not a monster house, to be honest. Draco, get off of the fucking... Cringed! I didn't mean to attack him with the whole thing, but... Grovile, get on the fuck it, thank you. Jeez. My goodness. I haven't seen a single mag mortar. Did the enemy layout change because I reset? Is that what happened? I don't feel like that would be the case, would it? It blows up the stairs, we all die. Grovile, please. Grovile, please. Oh my god, dude. Dude, my health bar is so big it goes off the screen. That's kind of funny. Come on. Let me go. Let me escape. Alright. There we go. Save point. According to Lapras, the old ruins lies beyond this dungeon. That's where we should find the Rainbow Stone Ship. Find the Rainbow Stone Ship, we'll take it to Temple Tower. Whoops. Here we go. I don't care about the Blast Seed. I think the Blast Seed is probably the most worthless at this point. There he is. You're gone. You're an item now. Wow, he turned into money. What a fucking worthless change. Sad it didn't become an apple. Oh, you wanted me to eat the mag mortar? That's funny. Is this stream 18? I mean, I'm trying not to be, but I mean, we can make jokes as long as it's not like overtly sexual, I think. That's kind of the spot that I sit at. Funny haha child, I'm like immature sex jokes I think are funny and okay, but I don't want to like talk about kinks and fetishes beyond like the immature haha vor, you know? Because I think immature low is it lowbrow? Is that the appropriate term? Lowbrow jokes can be funny, in moderation. I just don't want to like. There was a person, I was playing Digimon Cyber Sleuth, which I never finished, by the way. My last stream of that 2 years ago or whatever was the last time I played that game. And someone came in from oh god, I don't remember where it was from, but they were talking about some like they were going into detail about a specific topic, and I was like, we should not talk about this anymore, please. Ugh, fucking endure, dude, get the fuck out of here. I just don't want you here anymore. Go away. So lowbrow jokes are okay, but getting into like the more bleh things I would like to avoid. Fucking die already, dude. Magmar has so much health, Jesus. And it was a waste of my time. Oh my god, I actually just died because of that. Honestly, I kind of want to reset just from annoyance, to be completely honest. Further inquiry on this topic, just use DMs because that's way better. I agree. If you want to come into my stream and you know what I enjoy, feel free to come into my Discord DMs and we can talk about it. as long as you're at least 18. However, in the stream, maybe we keep that stuff out of public platforms, you know? I like to keep my private stuff, you know, private, because it's weird to talk about that in a setting where anyone can jump in and be like, what the fuck? Ow, dude, he's stomping on me. Get out of here. There we go. Royal gummy. I'm gonna eat it. Actually, I just lost a healing or reviver seed, so we'll just swap it. And then this one I can probably swap for something else. What is gold for? Now I'm curious. Dude, I got so much garbage items. Fuck. It sounds like. I think I get the gist of what you're talking about. I'm sorry the mag mortar didn't turn into an apple. Smile. I might just eat this one. I'm just gonna eat this one. Apple or gummy. I don't know. Can they turn into gummies? It might depend on the anime. I don't know how the atomizer orb works, like if it's completely random or if it's like based on the enemy or something. RNG is just like that, true. Weed cat, this gummy tastes strange. No, the weed cat gummy. You know, the worst part about the fucking confusion traps is that you can't get away from them because you're confused and then you just step on them again. See, look, like, what the fuck, dude? God damn it. Warp seed. I'm probably good on that for now. Please don't be. Okay. I'm honestly super okay with sleep traps. Grovile, please. Okay. Grovile's got this. Solar beam. Never mind. They both got this handled, I would say, pretty handily. Oh shit. Why did he he was confused and walked on the sleep trap again? Dude. Fucking, oh my god, dude. This freaking game, dude. Oh my god. This is ridiculous. Jesus, okay. That floor was a nightmare. I'm just so sick of the freaking hail. I know he just used an iron defense, but I'm just gonna physical attack him still. Stab moves. I'm gonna eat this one. I'll just fire fang him. Burn. Oh, he's stepping on me. Get out of here, dude. Alright, stairs? Yay! You know... Just go away. Honestly, just don't even want to deal with it. Old ruins. Wow, this place is... Mew. Okay. Hi. Kyogre and Groudon. This is wild. It's incredible. Look at it.
Look at all these fantastic paintings and inscriptions on the walls.
Palkia and Dialga.
Like Lapper said, this place is the old ruins. The Rainbow Stone ship should be here. That's right. Let's go in there.
Gonna make some food? I hope you get delicious food.
What is this place?
I'm not sure myself, but I would imagine it must be the Temple of the Old Ruins.
Let's head up these stairs.
Oh, there's your thing. This appears to be at the top.
Look there.
A strange pattern is here, too.
There's a small indentation in the middle. I wonder what it's for.
Oh, what's this? What is it? There's a tablet. There seems to be something inscribed here. What are these strange runes? This is inscribed with unknown letters. It's written in ancient language.
Can you read it, Grovile?
Yes, I've researched extensively to learn about this.
Really? Great! Quick, read it!
Don't be so impatient. Give me a minute. So? Got it. It appears the place itself. This is the Rainbow Stone ship.
What? This is it?
Yeah, that's right. There's an indentation there. Clar, this is where it goes. Fit the fragment with the strange pattern into the indentation.
What? You want me to put the relic fragment in there?
That's right. This will activate the Rainbow Stone ship. We can ride it to Temporal Tower. That's what it said on the tablet.
Really?
Try it and see. It's quite enough of that. I'm gonna assume that's Dusknoir. Oh, it's Sableye. Wee-hee-hee-hee.
Sableye! Dusknoir!
How did you get here?
Quite simple, actually.
I had Master Dialga warp us here directly. After all, I knew that you would inevitably come here. Waiting here spared us the bother of having to search for you. Unfortunately, you are coming back to a future with me. Sableye, take them to the dimensional hole. Shit. Well, that's bad.
Hey, there's the dimensional hole.
Sableye, into the dimensional hole with them. Alright, how do we get out of this one?
Draconayr. Yeah?
Smash! Oh, we just fight back. Alright, cool. Imagine that, fighting back. You display some feeble resistance, knowing that it's futile. You expected anything less? You leave me no choice. I'll simply defeat you here, then take you to the future. It makes no difference to me. The odds are overwhelmingly stacked against you. How much resistance can you even serve up? Show me. Swarm them. Alright, we get to fight Dusknoir. First things first. Go to sleep! And I'm gonna eat a Violent Seed. I'm actually gonna give Grovile the Violent Seed. Because I knew that Clar would use Solar Beam. And now he can one-shot. Hey. Alright, this is the way to go. Ooh, that's rough though. I will give Clar the Oranberry. And then he will finish his Solar Beam. Kill that guy. Okay, now I'm in danger, but it's fine. I'm gonna do this. Kill one of them. He healed himself. You missed! Oh, I'm alive though, so it's fine. Hit both of them. Yes! Yes! Huge. That was big brain. Oh god, go back to sleep, please. Hello, how is it going? Please go back to sleep. Thank you. Clark, kill the fucking Sableye. I got this. There we go. Okay, now fuck him up. He's slowed and asleep. Kill him. Hey, that wasn't so bad. Putting him to sleep immediately was very good. I refuse to lose. Oh shit, Mega Punch. Ugh. So foolhardy. You dared to challenge me for all the effort in the world. With your puny power, you had no chance of winning from the start.
Dustnoir's tough. Don't give up. There's a way out of this. It's easy for you to say.
You've done admirably well for those pitiful against you. For those as pitiful. But it's all over now. This is the end.
The mouth on his stomach opened up. He's gonna do something. Is he gonna unleash a move? From the mouth on his stomach? Wait a second. The mouth on his stomach. That's it. This could work.
What is it?
What? Force our combined move down his stomach. Is that possible? There's no time. It's our one shot.
Take this. Oh shit! Reflect! Bob! Dude, it's like a fucking Dragon Ball Z deflect move. Is he a robot? What's going on here? He's like smoking.
We did it. Dustnoir is down. We finally beaten him.
It can't be. Lord Dustnoir was defeated. Are they all just gonna run away into the... Yep! There they go! Sableye ran off. You have no luck attracting reliable allies. Clar,
What is it?
go to the top of the temple. Put the relic fragment in the spot. I want you to check if the rainbow stone ship actually works. Draconayr and I will keep an eye on Dustnoir.
Okay, I'll do it.
If the rainbow stone ship works, we can go to Temporal Tower. I hope it activates. Ugh. Don't move.
Grovyle, is this really what you want? If history is changed, we Pokemon of the future will disappear.
What? If history's changed, Pokemon of the future will disappear.
It won't be just me. Both of you, Grovyle and Draconayr alike. Since you come from a future that will cease to exist, you will both disappear too. Is that what you really want?
If we change history, we'll disappear
Man,
too?
isn't it funny how Atomizer Orb can turn Pokemon into coins? Be so funny if you spent some. Speaking of coins, Chatot is such a jerk, always so money hungry, hoarding money for unknown reasons. What is he even searching for? His mortals? It's like he's missing them, or some other thing only he can find among the coins.
What are you
UPS.
insinuating here? What you're insinuating?
Is Dustnoir telling the truth? Grovyle.
It's true. If we change history, we will disappear. How does that work? Because if we're the ones to change history, that's leading into grandfather paradox. Because if we disappear, then we can't have come back to change history. You know, like why? So if we change history, is that how that would work?
Grovyle. But that doesn't matter. If it means restoring time and bringing peace to the world, it's what I came to the past to do.
Celebi too. She helped us knowing that she will disappear if we succeed. Even Celebi?
I recall when we were in the future. If you would be so kind as to prevent the planet's paralysis, we'll finally be spared the agony of this world of darkness. My dear Grovyle, I will devote my life to achieve that end.
And Celebi said that she would devote her whole life. This is what she meant. And Draconayr, you came with that sense of resolve. We came from the future fully accepting what would happen to us. But the way you are now, you don't remember that resolve. I know this is coming as a great shock. But we have no choice in the matter. If we don't act, time will be destroyed. The planet's paralysis will begin. To bring peace to this world, We have to disappear. Try to understand. So that's how it was. I came to this world with such a resolve, knowing that if we succeeded, we would disappear. But if we don't act, the destruction of time can't be stopped. That means we have to do it, even if it means I disappear. Draconayr. There's one thing. One thing changed for us by coming to this world. It's true that we had the resolve to complete our mission. That was true when we first came back to this world, but we had absolutely nothing to lose, and nothing to go back to. This changed for you when you became a Pokemon. You found a friend and a partner. Clar looks up to you. If your partner found out that you might disappear, I'm sure he'd be crushed. Clar's a good spirit, but if the future is altered and you disappear, your partner will... Clar will be left alone.
Not applying anything to the child guy who missed coins with the testament that on perfect apples, and the child is desperately searching for missing parts of himself.
Wow. I understand. If I change history, I'll disappear. If I disappear... Clar. Sure, I'll save. Saving your adventure. So that sucks dick. Here it is. It's the hollow spot. The rock fragment's supposed to go here. Oh shit, it fits. It moved. What was that? Clar's done it. That noise. It must be the sound of the Rainbow Stone Ship activating. Oh shit! The sucker punch! I won't. You'll never change history. Grovyle! So you shielded Draconayr, Grovyle. That takes a heavy toll on you. Very well. You're going down first. Oh, we just got right back up. Oh shit! What are you doing? Dusknoir, I'm taking you with me. We're going back to the future. What? Draconayr, it's up to you now. Oh shit, you just threw them all on the ground. Those are... the time gears. Okay team, the Rainbow Stone Ship's set to go. What's happening? Clar, this is it for me. I'm taking Dusknoir back to the future. What? I can never come back here again. Watch his back. Promise me. But... take your place, Grovyle? I can't. You must and you will, because you can. You two are the greatest of combinations. Unhand me. Release me. We're almost there. Quiet. Take care. I was lucky to have known you. Though the parting hurts, the rest is in your hands. Sorry for the holdup, Dusknoir. Fuck. Grovyle, why? The Rainbow Stone Ship. It's getting louder. Looks like it's gonna move. We have to go. Fuck, dude, come on, we gotta go. Grovyle. It's sad. I'm too sad to even move. If we don't hurry, the Rainbow Stone Ship might just leave without us. It may be sad, but right now, we'd better go. The time gears, I'd better gather them up. Wait for us in the future. We'll stop the planet's paralysis. We'll change the future into a better world. A world in which Grovyle can live happily. We won't fail. He doesn't know, chat. Dude, this happened like a minute ago. Shut up. Like, if the future's changed, Grovyle will disappear. And I will too. Last thing Grovyle said to you. It literally was 30 seconds ago, dude. Dusknoir looks bad. He's feeling extremely bashful. He does kind of look like it in this scene. His last words, parting hurts. I understand that feeling. I understand how he hurts. Grovyle was partners with you for a long time. I think it must have hurt Grovyle terribly. That may be what he meant, but that isn't it. Grovyle's last words weren't about me. He meant about me and Clar. Grovyle said what he did because he knew that I would have to leave Clar eventually. When history has changed, I will disappear. My time together with Clar's ending. This is our last adventure. Hey, we have to do this for Grovyle's sake. Let's go to the Temporal Tower. Okay. They must have hurt terribly. Dude, for real though, like honestly. Ah, it's getting louder. It's about time. Let's get on. Oh, is it just like a fucking elevator? Hey, look at that. It's Temporal Tower. Finally, we're on our way.
So if Pokemon can only say their name, and he keeps saying your name, just saying it here.
He is me. We're nearly there. There's no turning back now. Hey, up there. The top of Temporal Tower is glowing red. What could that be? Let's hustle. It's a weird word. Shit, dude. This is sick, though. This is the entrance. The ground's shaking. Did it settle down? What was that tremor? That reminds me. Grovyle said something about this. See, that time started going out of control everywhere because Temporal Tower began collapsing. So the tremor we just felt, Temporal Tower could be collapsing as we speak. We have to hurry. All right. Let's do some adjusting here. This seems like the finale, so let's do this. I have lots of healing. I have the Reviver Seeds. I don't have any Totter Seeds, which sucks, but I want the Max Elixirs. I think in terms of orbs, I'm good. That might be where I sit. That might be my loadout for the final part of the game. But we're gonna do that on Saturday. We're gonna stop here. This will be a shorter stream. Because I want enough time to like beat the game and then do the important parts of the post game. So I'm gonna try and start early on Saturday, and we're gonna play for a few hours on Saturday, and then hopefully finish up, and then next week we can start doing other stuff. But the shit's getting real. I'm kind of sad now. Grovyle's sacrifice at the end there to stop Dustmar and all the stuff he was talking about is sad. It makes me sad, dude. It's fucking sad. All right. Let's go ahead and cut it off here. Let's see if there's anyone we can raid. I have no one to raid. All right. I guess we'll just cut the stream then. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Goodbye. Grovyle the Thief stole the show. Dude, it was, it's sad, dude. I guess it's him talking about, I guess it's the whole demeanor he has of like talking about how when the partner Pokemon and you do this, that you'll be separated and they can Clar or making your partner think that he's talking about Grovile, like himself and you, because you were buddies too. And it's honestly kind of crushing that he's like putting that away because he knows he's gonna disappear. But Clara, the partner Pokemon, thinks that he's just sad that he won't see you again, when he's right, but not for the right reasons, and it's kind of just really sad. It's just really sad, and I'm a little afraid for the end of this here when we eventually do succeed and see what happens between me and my partner, because that's gonna suck. But we will see. That'll be a Saturday problem. That's a future Connor problem. I'm gonna do nothing for the next 2 days. I'm gonna do. But yeah, I'm gonna end it here. So a little bit of a shorter stream. I also started late, which sucks, but it was a very tiring day, so I had to shake off some of the gunk in my brain before starting, so it was a little late. But yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out. I'll see you guys on Saturday. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your nights. Hugs and kisses. I have a Discord if you want to be in it, but it's in the thing below. It's a hyperlink, you can click on it. Normally I do the chat message thing, but I don't care right now, so all right, love you all. Hugs and kisses. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your time zones. Bye.